Lamacq's Record Store Road Trip for Record Store Day 2021.
But first, yes, day 4 of our Record Store virtual tour around the country. Yesterday we were in Cardiff at Spillers Records. Today, well, if we were doing this in real life, and it's a slightly complicated drive, I think, north from Cardiff. So A48, M5, M6, and then I forget, is it left or right, just past Warrington? Eventually, though, our destination today is in Market Street in Bury, at a record shop / cafe, hence the name, Wax and Beans. And Ben Suttill should be on the phone. Evening, Ben.
Evening, Steve. How are you, buddy? Welcome to Wax and Beans and back up north.
Yeah, absolutely. And a record shop in Bury, where had there been a record shop in? I know there've been record shops in the past because one or two people have been in touch mentioning there was a shop called Vibes back in the day. But was there just an absence of an indie shop in Bury when you started?
That's exactly right, yeah. A couple of really historic record shops that haven't been around for about 10 years or so now. So there was a void, there was a need, we were hoping so anyway, and a requirement for it. So 2 years ago is when we hit the trigger on this one, and we're fairly new to the game, but yeah, it's been great so far, really good.
So tell us a bit about the place. You're one of the co-owners, is that right?
I am, yeah. It's me and my partner Louise that run the place. We have a fantastic staff. As you said, we've got a coffee shop element to the place as well. We've moved to bigger premises during lockdown, and over 2 floors now, Wax and Beans. It's a nice community space. There's a lot of people that come just to enjoy the music, the coffee. A lot of people that dig for vinyl, both new and pre-loved. It's a real mixed bag, and people from sort of 6-year-old kids coming in right up to 80-year-old guys that are just fascinated by the whole thing of the whole thing. Just vinyl in general.
You mentioned moving and then sort of opening. It was a bit of a bumpy ride by the sound of things, because you opened your doors when?
We opened in end of June 2019 in a very small premises, just down the road, Bury Town Centre again, and then had to obviously close within about sort of 8 or 9 months due to the first lockdown in March 2020. But to be honest with you, the support was so good in that sort of first period in year one that we were already looking for bigger premises so that we could expand on everything that we did. So kind of worked out good in that respect.
How much have you had to learn on the job, if you don't mind me asking? Because where did you come from? Had you worked in record shops or the music business before?
No, just a lover of vinyl. Just a lover of records from probably about 14 or 15, and I was one of the guys that supported all these shops that were around in Bury at the time, like you say, Vibes and Muse. Fantastic places. And I came from a corporate background, and I just had enough of doing that and just wanted to do something that was a pipe dream that dates back to about 96 really. But I was a bit wet behind the ears then. Straight out of college it just wouldn't have worked. Trying to sell a shop full of jungle and drum and bass mid-90s just wouldn't have happened. So 24 years later, and massive support from Louise. She said, yeah, come on, I'll support you, let's do it.
And so, paint us a picture, because I've not been myself. How is it split? It's sort of coffee shop, cafe one side, records the other, or is the espresso machine in the middle of the jazz section where it should be?
Yeah, it's probably nearest the pre-loved, actually.
Is it? Okay.
So you walk into Wax and Beans and you're generally greeted by a smile and a hello, how you doing? The freshly ground coffee will hit you. The music will be playing. Depending if it's any good or not, depending on who's on the shift that day. No comment, Exton, if you're listening, buddy. But no, it's kind of all together, really. We've got a huge wall of new records, new releases every single Friday, as you would expect from an indie store. And then quite a few bins of pre-loved stuff. And in amongst that, we've got half a dozen tables downstairs, and then a bit of a space upstairs with the music playing. No records up there. It's just been a great space for people to get out of the 4 walls from home now that the indie shops are opening up again, and do a bit of work in that space up here as well.
And what records have been popular over the past year? Everyone we've spoken to, I think, over the week so far have said there's been enough stuff to keep you going. Have there been big records or records that have come out of left of centre that have been really popular with your clientele?
We had loads of big releases. I think Ash yesterday alluded to a couple of good ones, and for us, Wolf Alice has been big. James, the new James album's been really big. Obviously, we're part of Greater Manchester, so there's a lot of love and support for that band up here.
Yeah.
The Coral have obviously dropped a fantastic album earlier on this year. A lot of people waiting for that to get repressed. There's a huge appetite for that again on record. Well as Fat Pop, fantastic again. We're shifting dozens and dozens of units of those 3 or 4 titles, definitely. Yeah, they probably, off the top of my head, been the biggest sellers so far in the first quarter of this year.
And were you confident? You mentioned there was a lot of support for you, but were you confident that there would be people who would appreciate having a shop in Bury again rather than having to, say, travel to Manchester? And has that, do you feel vindicated that, there's loads of people who like to just wander down the road and, as you say, maybe just hang out in a record shop?
That's what a lot of people do, I mean, there's people downstairs that have been in the shop 3 times now already today for a coffee. There's a chap down there that's brought a list in and, this is what I need. Keep an eye out on these for me for Pre-Loved.
Right.
Yeah, and going back to what you say, it's like Lou and I always before we opened the shop used to go around record shops around the country, pick out, and when the idea was sort of coming to a head and we were going to give it a go and green light it, we sort of took the best elements of the shops. Do we know that we're going to sell enough records to make the business viable in Bury? We weren't sure, so that's why we sort of bolted on the coffee element and the community space. It works out good because of that, because it's sort of that hybrid model. You're offering a couple of different service lines. Some people just see it as a coffee shop, but our USP is that we've got the records, and that is a destination, isn't it? People will travel if you're going to get a good service, a nice warm welcome, and a decent opportunity to dig through some racks that you've not been exposed to before.
And as well as everything else, you sort of allude to this, there's a nice space. In that space, is it right you've linked up with Mr. Tim Burgess to do a live version of Tim's Listening Party? Tim's Listening Party goes live?
Yeah, this was absolutely wicked. So there's a customer that became a friend of the shop during the first year that wanted to put a music as social event on. So unofficially, we played along with the Audio Web album, another Manchester band. When Tim's guys were playing that about 2 weeks ago, we tweeted it out, and Tim's team reached out to us on Twitter that night and said, "This is a brilliant idea. Shops are starting to open again, and certainly indie shops like yourselves that have got the coffee shop element as well. Why don't we come down and officially partner up?" And those guys are huge, and what they've done during lockdown is incredible, and it's not exposure for them. This is what the team are saying. What they want to do is purely support the indie stores.
Yeah.
So we were dead chuffed to be first on board with that. But we did the Inhaler party on Tuesday night. We filled the place. We put the big screen up so no one's heads were just sort of in their phones for an hour while the record was on. We just looked at the big screen, kept refreshing the tweets. We felt sort of a lot of love from that, because we were kind of officially tweeting along as well. Yeah. So it was brilliant. Yeah, it was great fun.
And what have you got planned for Saturday? Record Store Day on Saturday. And when do you think people will start queuing? Are you one of the shops where you've got people who'll be there in their fold-out chair at about 9 o'clock the previous day?
We were blown away on Drop 1 actually in June, because obviously with us only being 2 years old, this is only our second official RSD, even though there was a few drops last year. And people, we'd ordered thousands of pounds worth of stock last year, and is anyone going to turn up? They did, which is great. And we were blown away on Drop 1 because a chap called Mark turned up with his what did he have? I think he had a blow-up bed and a pillow, so he was prepared. He turned up at 10 o'clock on Friday evening,
right?
Just as we were about to leave, and I said, surely not, this is ridiculously early for a shop that's so new. So we're expecting people to turn up at 5:30, 6 o'clock after work on Friday, tomorrow afternoon actually, because there's a lot of really limited titles. There's some great stuff on Drop 2.
I was going to say, what releases are people getting excited by? Is there anything particular that you've had a lot of requests for, or people are hoping to get?
Yeah. Again, with us being sort of local to where the band come from, the Happy Mondays remixes is a hot ticket on Saturday. Probably the biggest is the DGs, Foo Fighters, Hail Satan disco album that they've put out, and they only announced a couple of weeks ago. So that's a super hot one. There's going to be a lot of people queuing up for that one. It's quite limited, I think, as well.
Yeah. when you open those boxes and go, what? I've only got two. I've got two of these. Oh no.
I think we've got some reps that really like us because we've got some good allocations for a little store in a little town in the northwest. Yeah.
Well, listen, good luck. Have a great day. I hope you really enjoy it. And there's a tune which we're going to play for you, which I think is a record which you've sold quite a lot of this year. Tell us about this track by Dope Lemon.
Okay, I think it's track 1, Marinade, off his second album that got reissued, and it just became a bit of a favourite back in the old shop, and we kind of spin it fairly regularly in the new shop, the whole album. It's just makes you feel cool listening to it, and it's track 1 off Honey Bones by Dope Lemon.
So if you're ever in Market Street, Bury, you know where to go. Well, if you're ever in the vicinity of Bury, Wax and Beans for all your vinyl and coffee needs. It's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much, Ben.
Cheers, Steve. Thanks, buddy. Everyone have a great time on Saturday.
Yeah, seconded. Record Store Day Saturday, recordstoreday.co.uk for all the details of all the releases. This is Dope Lemon and this is Marinade. The choice of Ben Suttill at Wax and Beans in Bury. As I say, it's on Market Street in Bury, should you be in the area, in the vicinity. That was Dope Lemon and that was called Marinade.
6 Music.